Box fights in Mazatlan were born in the neighborhoods of the wharf. But the bullring owned by Luis Ria, who for its construction, acquired a considerable extension of land from the firm Melchor Sus Soares, would be the cradle of professional boxing. On January 7, 1920, Luis Ria went to the city council, requesting authorization to build his square. They turned the matter over to the Special Entertainment Commission, which requested the engineer Francisco Uriola Goitia an opinion about the soundness and safety of the place, who would later approve it. Luciano Gomez Llanos Jr. began in 1921 his career as a professional boxing promoter in Mazatlan, as he organized a function in the bullring, for the benefit of the Patriotic Board, putting Jose Morales against Emilio Cotbala from Sonora, better known as Kid Cotbala, in which the featherweight belt of the Pacific Coast, held by Morales, was in dispute. In that night function, Kid Cotbala won by knockout in the first round. Later, at the Rubio Theater, today Angela Peralta, magnificent box fights were staged, with the most famous boxers of that time. Mazatlan fans adopted Kid Cotbala as their idol, and the boy let himself be loved. Having no more devastating fists than his, Kid Cotbala easily walked from the ring to the streets and promenades of the port. At nights, it was besieged by girls from brothels, such as Las Tres Luces Salon Rojo, as de Oros, and many more that were on the then shores of Mazatlan, in addition to the neighborhoods of the streets, Duranguito and New Neighborhood. Then in 1925, Julio Lopez came. He was a powerful boxer from the capital, who knew more about tricks than Kid Cotbala, and he started rolling all that pride, turned into pedantry, of which he was the master, and lord of Mazatlan boxing, knocking him out in 4 rounds. That happened in one improvised ring, which was built in what was the Commercial, Industrial, Agricultural and Livestock Exhibition, which was installed at the request of Dr. Rafael Dominguez, where the Paseo Orient is today. Then the idol Kid Cotbala was over. Eduardo Castellanos, Kid Milo, emerged as the next Mazatlan idol. He returned from the border, and came to position himself as the one who would welcome those light and welterweights, such as Jorge Monzon, Nate Goldbaum, Kid Allen, Kid Bello, Luis Arizona, and so many more, who came in war to these beaches, challenging the Mazatleco. The same thing happened to Castellanos as to Kid Cotbala. Dissipated life took him away. But then, Joe Conde would arrive. A young man with figure and style, with personality and school, that would revolutionize the fans, who were divided into supporters and enemies of this boy. Joe Conde was born in La Noria on September 3, 1911, from an important and wealthy family from that town. Some nicknamed him El Dandy, due his dapper boxing and his elegant way of dressing in the street. But everyone, followers or not, filled the old Coliseum on Carnival Street every time he showed up. Jose Alejandro Petri Conde, whom his friends named Joe Conde, conquered the public with his boxing style. He never achieved a world title, but became a featherweight and lightweight national champion. He is the most remembered locally, in the golden age of boxing in the port. The school that Joe Conde left paid off in Mazatlan, and soon there were boys who followed in his footsteps. Among others, German Bastidas and Carlos Ariola were the ones who learned the most from the dandy, and the latter had powers that could have led him to occupy a good place on the national scene, and perhaps internationally, if he had wanted. Then came Kid Federico, Kid Lencho, Kiki Mora, Pancho Tolentino, Ramon Verdon, Kid Salvilla, and Pelon Ontiveros, from the first litter. Many of them later covered stellar fights in the local media. Later, others came out like Terso Ruby, Jose El Loco Becerra, who would later become a boxing promoter in Mazatlan. They would later be Los Zapparai family, who achieved much more success in this field. We can mention others, such as Joe Gonzalez, Mike Ruby, Monkey E. Partida, Manny Loya, and many more that we forget at the moment. A particular and curious episode in this boxing history is covered by Mrs. Margarita Montes, who was nicknamed the Maya. In 1931, while working as a hostess at the Rubio Theater, she covered for another fighter, who fell ill that night, and without knowing about boxing, she got into the ring to beat a professional one from Sonora, who already had many fights. That good streak of boxing, called the Golden Age, ended, so that later times would come that gave signs of giving us back those unforgettable nights of boxing, made with enthusiasm and a lot of substance, by Chano Gomesianos, who was lucky enough for it.